Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. We're going to peel back the curtains today and get an idea of how a psychic medium works. When they get messages, signs, symbols, whatever it is, and they deliver this information that the rest of us validate. We know there's some kind of connection there because nobody else could know this type of stuff. I'm intrigued. I get excited every time, we talk with a psychic medium, and she's back with us. Alisha B is here today. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you today?
Really good, really good. So last time we got together, we talked about some of the things that you've delivered for people, but we never really got deep into what's actually going on, like how you experience it. And I think psychics, everybody has their own way of receiving something, whether it comes in taste, visuals, sound, whatever it might be. I guess let's go right there. When you receive messages, what are you getting? I don't want to say what are you seeing because I don't know if you're seeing something. So what are you getting?
Similar. For me specifically, it's kind of like a little movie that plays in my head. It'll start with a snapshot and then it has momentum. Recently I did a reading and I was traveling on a road. We were just going down a road and you see the center lines fly by and I'm like, okay, we're in motion on the road. So it's kind of like a little motion picture. And then I also get, font, and you can hear the whisper of the words, but it'll spell it out in my vision and I'll just start writing down, okay, this is what they're saying. This is what I need to relay. So words, I see pictures, videos, and definitely sensations. I am a highly sensitive person, empath, so HSP, and I can get physical reactions when I do a reading if there's something going on with you. Another recent example is someone had some medical issues going on and I suddenly couldn't swallow. I had this really hard time swallowing. It was like I couldn't eat, I couldn't drink, and then there was this huge lump in my throat is what it felt like. So I can get those as well.
Wow. So let's go back to the seeing words. So you see the image, looks like a movie playing. So now you've got a starting point. And then let's say you're driving down the road and you'll just see a word and then you start putting them together. Like a truck goes by and you'll see something. That was for them. Tell me how that works.
Yes. So sometimes I wish I could just go back and read you some of my readings, but it normally starts with the image and then I'll start drawing it out, relaying that, and then I'll get a word or a whisper from the person that's actually coming through to help validate the image I'm getting or what is actually going on in that area. And I attribute the words coming across my vision to William, my spirit guide, because he likes to speak in a marquee, like the old movie marquees that light up the bulbs. When it's important, he'll throw that out there with the word printed across it. I'm like, okay, this is something you really need to hear from me. Where some of the other words, it's just tying two and two together. And you just kind of flow in the state of, okay, they're telling me you were traveling up the mountains. And then I see the road go up and I was like, yeah, we're inclining and an animal ran out, and they'll write deer. If it's a deer, like deer in my vision. So.
Okay. So is that, now you describe it as seeing a movie. Is that part of the movie?
Yes.
It is.
It
okay. Is. I was wondering whether you see sort of a movie at one point and then you see visions of words and things like that, but this is all one situation.
Yes. It's almost like it's superimposed on whatever video I'm watching in the vision. Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's cool. Any examples of that maybe in the past or one that really stands out for you?
Can't think of any without going back, and I don't want to flip through a notebook.
Okay, so before we even go, don't mean to cut you off. Does it almost seem like it all gels together? Like when you try to think of, particular readings, it's like you do so many. So it's like, oh, then there's that, then there's this one, then there's that. Like it kind of gels together. Like if, you asked me, Steve, what'd you do last Tuesday? Well, I did so much last week. I don't even know. Like I'd have to, oh yeah, that's what I'd have to think about it because it all kind of mashes together.
It does. And actually, so one thing I do is when I do a reading, I accept and access energy with you so that the reading can come through strong. And after I clear, my way of clearing and releasing energy is actually to write. After I do a journal, after
Wow.
every reading I do, I journal out, and it releases the energy. And I kid you not, I forget what I read for the person because we've moved on. That's not something for me to keep a hold of, and that's why well, not why I write. I'm an auto writer, but
Oh,
that's
what writer?
an auto writer. So when spirit messages come in, I automatically start writing what
Okay.
they say. And it just is another modality to get the message to people. But it definitely smooshes together, and yeah.
Wow. You said something, and I have to get confirmation on it, that when you write, call it journal, you're expending energy, like transferring it from here onto the page?
Yes.
Never thought of it that way.
Yes. It is a great way for anybody, whether you're in tuned or not, when you have emotions build up or you're contacting people like in close proximity, just go write. It doesn't matter what you write, it doesn't matter what you put on the page, but it's releasing that energy that you just contacted. And so that you can go back to yourself and not carry that.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
It just backs up why journaling is so important, aside from the scientific aspect, and it's been proven many times that when you write something, the connection between the mind and the hand is very powerful. Don't type it. That's
Agreed.
bad. You need to physically write it. But I found myself, I started journaling. I'm embarrassed to say I only started journaling, I don't know, maybe 2-3 months ago. And in the beginning, I was like, blah, 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 I would write a lot. And then it got to the point where I was only writing like maybe a paragraph. And I kind of leaned off it for a little while. And I don't know why. I almost said everything I needed to say, but that's not to say every day is different. There's different things going on, different emotions, situations, processing. But I'm going back to it now because of what you said about the energy that gets released in doing it. At the very least, you should be doing it just for that reason alone.
Agree. And for me, it always calms me. I know after the last time we spoke, I went and journaled after that because this is an energy connection that we're doing, and I have to get it off, or else it's one of those that keeps the event fresh in the mind. So I would be, oh, did I look weird on the podcast? Did I say something wrong? I would over criticize myself instead of just releasing it and moving forward.
And you were great as always. we all overthink stuff. I got I think I got a zit in my forehead right there. Popped up last night.
I have one right in the middle, so I feel
gosh,
you.
We're real. That's what it's all about.
Yes.
I'm getting images in my mind of times that I asked for answers and they came in words. And I remember when I moved a couple of years ago, and it was with my daughter, and it was a challenging time. I wondered if I made the right choice in where I moved. And I'll never forget driving away from the area, not more than 2 miles, not even. And I look up, and there's these words on the side of a building, a sign for a business. I've never seen it before. Maybe it's brand new, it's fresh. This is an area that, I've been around. It's not like, went to the other side of, a county or whatever. And there were the words victory. And I'm sitting at the light and I'm like, okay, I think that was for me. I'm going to say I did okay here. we're good. And I feel that was a message for me. How do you know when you're getting stuff, Alisha, that it's you? It's for you or for the person that you're reading for?
Oh, okay. Yes. So there's a big thing we discuss in, I guess, the metaphysical world is to let go of the ego. And that means I'm disconnecting my conscious brain to go into my subconscious brain to receive. And how I know I do that is I don't try to formulate a story when I get stuff from people. I will give you exactly what I get because it's not going to make sense to me. That's the whole point. The message is not for me. And so one I can remember is I drew a shed next to a tree, and there was a car parked next to it. And I was like, okay, this is a shed. There's trees around it. And I showed her the image. She was like, oh, that's my she shed. And I was like, oh, okay, so that makes sense. If I would have tried to make a story on that, who knows where I would have gone. But I have to make sure not to formulate a story and just give you exactly what comes through.
Okay. So formulating a story may skew the information because you're creating the story, and that might not be the story.
Yes,
You just deliver the facts. You're the messenger.
exactly. I'm just the go-between.
So I'm gonna go deep here, and I want to get your feelings on this. I've been finding myself wanting to just close my eyes and do nothing and think. And it like mildly excites me. Like even now, as you were talking, I closed my eyes and I was looking for visuals. And it's like, I don't know if this is what you do, but I find it so cool. I can't even explain it. Like it's almost as if when I close my eyes, I'm someplace else. I've transported myself either where I want to be or where I should be or need to be. I can't explain it, but it's only in the last couple of months. But I'm not a psychic, but I've been, call it, homing in on my intuition.
Yes.
Does that all make sense? Do you do that?
Yes, that makes perfect sense to me. A lot of what I do is meditate, which is similar to what you're doing. You close your eyes and just allow everything to flow. And the importance of that is, one, you're calming your mind, so we're not getting anxious, which means we're living in the future. We're not feeling depressed, which means we live in the past.
Yep.
But we're releasing those and living in the moment. And it's very hard with our society to live current because we have bills, we have deadlines. Something happened a week ago that's still carrying on. And so when we don't quiet the mind, we just continue to build that. But going in and listening to your intuition and being quiet, for me, is the most serene and peaceful time I ever have.
And it's just starting for me. I'm just like, I tried to meditate a couple of years ago, and I remember every situation where I was parked at a car, fell asleep, all of that. But this is like I could just close my eyes for a second just now, and it's like a good feeling. Like
Yes.
it's almost as if you're blocking everything else out. You're still present, and what you shared about the being in the present was the game changer for me. Where I met somebody 4 years ago, and they actually said that to me. I don't know if I shared that with you. That they said,
You have not.
they said, why don't you ever live in the moment? And I'm like, what? Why don't you ever live in the moment? And I had no idea what they were talking about. It's always the past, the future. It's never like now. And then I thought about it. It took me a little time to figure that out. And I'm like, oh, okay. Now, easier said than done.
Oh, yes.
I think you have to be intentional, and it has to be a habit of, living in the moment. But really, when you think about it, if you slice this moment right here, this second right there, do it again right there. What's wrong? Nothing.
Yeah, nothing at all.
Nothing. Yeah. You don't have time to think about things. It's just like savor the moment right there. There
Yes.
it is. It doesn't get any better. It's the best right there. If you can focus on the moment. Again, easier said than done. Took me a while to figure that out.
Yes. That also makes it easier, like, to connect with friends or family when you live in the moment, because you're not worried about anything else around that, but just spending that time and having the quality and just enjoying whatever comes up. And just, yeah.
Learning a lot today. Got to tell you, Alicia. It's kind of cool. What is shadow work? We hear that term. I kind of have an idea, but honestly, I'm not really sure.
So shadow work is what I like to think about of your kid. That's your child inside of you that, first hit the world. And that's when you learn your most lessons. That's where you learn good and bad, right and wrong. And as we progress and get older, that child may not always be tended to because we have to be structured to grow, which is great, but that can cause events in our brain to be like, oh, I can't do these things, or I need to steer away from here, when that may not be the truth. So shadow work gets at those, what I refer to as traumas or incidents, issues from way back when, starting 2, 3, 4 years old, and we start healing the child. And when we heal the child, we can heal the adult. And that is probably the hardest thing for anybody to do, because we like to think that we're good, right? Oh, I'm good. I can make it through the day. Oh, I'm fine. But really, we're all carrying around some baggage from our childhood that when we heal that, we're able to shift the mindset and live in the moment. And it just helps propel that ability to take every second of every day and just be grateful and love every moment you get, every connection you have. And then at the end of the day, release it. And that starts from shadow work.
Mm. It's my belief and learning in my journey that we all have things from our past, our childhood. Doesn't mean that we had a bad childhood, but
Not at all.
yeah, things happen there. You as a kid, you internalize things. Maybe you got bullied on the playground and all of that stuff, and it's still within you.
Yeah.
And it came out of, call it. And I study this pretty deeply, and I hear from experts all the time. Between birth and 7 is big, but I even heard yesterday in talking with somebody 5 to 7. You have no idea how impressionable those years right there have on your future.
Yes.
Amazing. It's amazing. When you go back, can you tap into your childhood, you personally?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I do. There's still things like I may be out here, doing ring and stuff, but shadow work is almost a forever thing that we do. We start dealing with one instance, and as we heal that one, the next one will come through, and you're like, oh, I thought I already did this work. But it's another instance that you need to move through to learn your lessons and move forward. And so it's kind of like a lifelong thing, because we're also in that process, healing generational trauma that's come in with our soul, with our past lives, and we're working in that as well. Excuse me.
sure.
And when we learn those lessons, it just allows us to release the stuff that we carry from life to death, to life to death. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's now we're going deep, with the generational stuff, and also karma. There's other. Let's talk about karma for a second. I know we're what's your belief? We always hear karma train's pulling up for that person. Karma police knocking on the door. There can be good karma as well, I guess. What are your overall thoughts?
So karma, I truly believe in, and that goes back to our conversation about energy. What energy you're putting off, you're requesting back. So if you're putting off negative things, for instance, you said bullying earlier. If you're bullying somebody, karma's coming back and saying, oh, that's what you want. Let me give that to you, because you have put that energy into the universe. So if you put positive energy into the universe, karma says, that's what you want back. Let me give you positivity. And so we kind of control the ebb and flow of karma when we really just sit down and think of our actions and think of how we're presenting to people. That's what we're accepting back, and that's what karma will return to us.
Then there's all right, somebody's done some horrible things to somebody else, right? Just unfathomable. They knew they were doing it. They knew it was all wrong, but they're okay. There's no the karma, the karma train has not pulled up for them. They put that negative energy out there. They affected so many people's lives. Go hypothetical here. When does that come back? Or could it come back in another life?
It could come back in another life. And that's that generational trauma that we deal with. You may not learn your lesson here, and eventually spirit and karma is going to be like, you're just not going to learn. This is not, you're not going to fulfill this lesson in this lifetime. So you get to have this same lesson when you return. And so each life we're here to learn lessons and build ourselves and propel ourselves and ascend. And if we're not learning the lessons, you get to try again in a whole new lifetime.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
that would be karma.
As it should. And that's my belief, and you do the right thing. Do the right thing. And you shouldn't do the right thing just to avoid the karma. You should be doing it anyway. You said what you put out there comes back, and we're just about out of time. And I think this will lead us into next time we get together, but gratitude. So it's my understanding that when you practice gratitude, the universe says, oh, you're happy with that? Well, let me give you some more of that. It could be abundance, could be people in your life, all of that. Is that true?
Oh, yes. This phrase has been, I guess, run through the mud. Law of attraction is essentially what it is. If you're grateful for what you got, they're going to give you more. If you're grateful for that, they'll keep giving you more. But if you don't take the time and be grateful in that instance, then you may see it stop. So, yeah, I mean, that's a long topic. As you said, we're short on time, but I would love to talk about gratitude.
Oh, we're going to do that. We definitely are. Because I feel gratitude is so important. And it's such a simple thing to practice, but many of us don't. And yeah, we'll say, yeah, I'm grateful for my family, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Yeah. And that's wonderful. But doing it on a regular basis, again, I guess it's the intention, the habit of what's going on there. Time that we have left, like a minute, 2 minutes, somewhere around there. Any readings stand out for you recently that just kind of blew you away, stick with you?
There was one that popped in. We were doing an exercise in a psychic group that I'm in, and we were just open sourcing anybody that wanted to come through. They would throw their name in, and then we would present it to the group and start reading whoever it landed to. And I had 2 names come through that were one was Taylor, ended up being connected to someone who many years ago had passed away. But events in his physical family were great events, and he wanted to come through for that, like, just to acknowledge and be here and be present. And then another one was a weird name, and I really questioned myself on saying it out because it's a friend of mine, luckily, so I don't think she'll mind, was Juju. And I was like, how did I come up with Juju? Where is that coming from? It ended up being an aunt, but that's a name I'm like, that's not something I would ever think in my head as a name.
Wow. Yeah. And this is these specifics. And for people who are skeptical, and I'm skeptical too, you might have somebody reading somebody else. They have an Italian last name. So, the psychics say, I'm getting an A name, a T name, like Anthony Tony. All right. Okay. That name you just said, Juju, like, that's very specific. Like, where are you going to pull that out?
Exactly.
Wow. What's the best way for somebody to connect with you? If they want to do a reading, maybe they have some questions. How do they do that?
So the best way to connect with me would be insightpsychics.com/Alisha. That's to schedule. If you have questions for me before scheduling, my business number is 256-469-8111. You can just send a message or leave a voicemail and I'll get back to you.
Thank you for all the details today. Validation of things that I've wondered about. Final question. Are you going to journal after this podcast?
100%. The next 5 to 10 minutes we'll be writing. Yes.
You know what's funny? I thought before I left today to bring my gratitude journal and my journal with me. Something was screaming, just bring it, put it in the car. And then part of me was like, well, if somebody gets in the car, whatever, they're going to see what I wrote. If they open up with them. That would never happen anyway. But that's the first thought I had. And I wish I did. I wish I brought it with me because I would be writing in it. And I really mean that. Even if I didn't have time today, I would make the time. So I got to do that tonight.
Yes.
Thank you for today. Really appreciate it. A lot of insight on how you do what you do.
I enjoyed today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll catch up soon, okay?
Okay.
Thanks.
Are there times where you feel lost, as if nothing in life makes sense? Are you still trying to process events from the past or the passing of loved ones? Those questions and more can be answered through contacting your angels, guides, and higher self by me, Alisha B., psychic medium and energy healer. Visit me today at insightpsychics.com/ALISHA to begin your healing journey and bring a sense of balance to your life.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.